Probably the biggest concern for us in the safety field is actually tractor rollovers. Tractor rollovers are still the #1 cause of fatalities on farms. And there's still a lot of old tractors running around without roll bars on them. Or there's people using the newer tractors that have roll bars, but they're not wearing their seat belts. The seat belt is a very important part of the rollover system. So we encourage everybody, if you don't have roll bars on your tractors, have them installed. Wear your seat belt when you're on the tractor. I know, especially if you're horning off the tractor a lot, sometimes that can be a little bit of a hindrance. But a little bit of a hindrance is better than flipping over and ended up on the wrong side of the grass for that day. We were talking earlier here about loaders, and those kind of play into the rollover deal where I see quite often tractors with a loader cutting hay and the loader's kind of high in the air. When you ride like that, you're increasing your chances of a rollover on that tractor. So if you've got a loader and you if it's possible, take that loader off before you get out in the field. If you have to raise it up, just be very, very mindful of any little bit of hill is you're really increasing your chances of a rollover with that loader in the air. The other thing is if you're working on a loader, please lock it out if it's raised up. Not too long ago, we actually had somebody working on one. They didn't have it locked, didn't have the safety lock on it, and a hose busted, and the loader actually came down on top of them. Failures can happen. All of this stuff is mechanical. It can break. Take all the safety precautions you can when you're out here working on this stuff. Lastly, I wanted to hit on some PTO safety because this is another big one that sometimes we take for granted. Most of the PTO stuff is turning 540 times a minute. Some of the bigger stuff is 1,000. If you're doing the 540, if you break that down, that's 9 turns in 1 second. I do a demonstration for children, for school-age children, where I have a PTO shaft mounted on a table. And I take a shoestring to simulate if I was crossing over one of these PTO shafts and my shoestring got caught in it. And believe it or not, in just 9 quick turns, there's about 6.5 feet of rope or whatever gets caught in that PTO that can get wrapped up in it in 1 second. So be very, very mindful of these PTO shafts. Keep the guards and shields in place on them. Replace them as they get worn or broken. And lastly, especially with the hay equipment, if you have to get off to work on this stuff, please shut it down. Quite often we hear about somebody, especially a square baler will get plugged up. Somebody gets off to try to make it feed into the baler, and the baler will actually grab them and pull them into the baler and make them part of the bale. And we don't want to see that. So take the time to just add a little bit more time to be safe instead of being sorry later on down the road.